I could not be more excited about this. We are standing in one of my favorite places in America, Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. It's time. We're back. Famous, of course, for the Battle of Gettysburg. The whole town is surrounded on all sides by beautifully preserved battlefields owned by the National Park Service, some of the most beautiful country on God's green earth, with cannons and monuments and cemeteries, one of which, of course, was dedicated by none other than Abraham Lincoln himself, and the words he spoke that day are immortalized now and known as the Gettysburg Address. In fact, right behind me is the David Wills house where Abraham Lincoln actually slept when he came here to give the Gettysburg Address. So it only makes sense that right behind me, running right through what they call the Diamond, their traffic circle here, their main plaza, runs the Lincoln Highway, the first major coast-to-coast U.S. highway going from Times Square, New York, all the way to San Francisco. The Battle of Gettysburg was the biggest, bloodiest battle of the Civil War, the turning point for the Union in the Civil War to finally get the upper hand, because General Lee and his troops were pretty much immediately pushed south after the battle. This quickly became the most visited tourist site of the Civil War, even back when the war was still going on. Very shortly after the war ended, you started having veterans reunions out on the battlefield itself. The railroad came to Gettysburg, so it was pretty easy to get here in the railroad days, but it became even easier once the Lincoln Highway could bring motorists straight into the Diamond here, also known, by the way, as Lincoln Square. And so not only is there tons of history on the battlefield, which, by the way, includes the town, a lot of fighting occurred in the town itself, but you also have more than 150 years of pretty hardcore tourism in Gettysburg. So there have been tourist trolleys here, there have been theme parks here. We covered one of them the last time I was in town. It was called Fantasyland. It's located right where the National Park's new visitor center is today. And it's just a perfect mix of everything that I love. You have the history here, you have things that are important to America and our national story, but you also have the hokey, the kitschy, right? And then a lot of historical kitschy stuff in town. They got everything. They got the Gettysburg Chocolate Market across the street. There are restaurants everywhere with a slight Civil War theme. Beautiful girls visiting from California. There are multiple ghost tour companies in town. Oh, look at this. This one's where you get the ghostly goods. And the history of the town itself goes back even before the Battle of Gettysburg. The first house here, I think, was built in 1776. So there's a lot to see, a lot to do, and a lot to learn in Gettysburg. And since the last time I was here, Adams County, which is the county Gettysburg is in, has opened up a Beyond the Battlefield museum all about the town history, local history, and of course the experience of the locals during the battle. We are going to see that museum later, and I think see some behind the scenes stuff most visitors never get to see. But before any of that happens, and before we go into any of these amazing stores and check out the town of Gettysburg with Allie here, it's her first trip out here, we are going to need some coffee. Surprisingly, Gettysburg has tons of ice cream shops, candy shops, a lot of bars and taverns and breweries, but very few coffee shops. Luckily, we were driving around yesterday on the sort of west side of downtown Gettysburg and spotted one that looked okay, looked pretty decent. Look at this along the way though. Look at Christ Lutheran Church right here. This was actually a hospital during the battle. Look at that. And all the way until July to August 1863, this place was full of the wounded and injured from the battlefield. Undoubtedly, people died here. That's why they have so many ghost tours all over town. What a beautiful building. What a beautiful place. It's so much history. In fact, as you walk around the town, you will see all kinds of plaques on these buildings that will tell you if it's a Civil War building. Like, for example, there's one right here. Look at this. Civil War building, July 1863, which is when the Battle of Gettysburg took place. Some historic buildings obviously have been lost to the ravages of time. There was a massive hotel here that was very important in Gettysburg history. It's now a 7-Eleven. For the most part, a lot of the Civil War buildings, I would say probably the majority of them, have survived even in downtown Gettysburg. Look at that, there's the plaque right there. Speaking of bees, you saw Allie making a beeline because we're close to the coffee now. Just right over here in this building, and fittingly called President's Coffee and Tea. Oh, it says right on the door, voted #1 best coffee house. Perfect. Start with the best. Can never go wrong doing that. Dude, they actually have something here on the menu called the Lincoln Latte. There is no way we are not trying the Lincoln Latte today. Look at the lighting. It looks like a TV show in here. This looks like an episode of Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee. All right, the coffee has been acquired. Dude, this is a very hip part of town. Look next door, they got a little pottery place, like a little ceramic studio. Allie does ceramics. It'd be perfect for you. And then next door, another coffee house. I didn't see this one yesterday. I'm gonna tell you right now, the plan today is to be focused on town here and then go out to the new museum, get a little look behind the scenes at that. But if you're more interested in the Battle of Gettysburg and the Civil War history, yesterday we had the most amazing experience getting a personal tour of the battlefield from literally my favorite Civil War expert, Gary Edelman, who's in the top of his field going to the infamous Devil's Den. I never upload out of order, but in this case, that episode will actually be coming next. Look at that building across the street. That's Gettysburger. What a great name for a burger place. This is going to become very relevant later, especially when we go to the museum. You can see here, this building has got a Civil War building plaque and then a little historical sign right here. This is the Scott McAllister house. One of the ladies who lived here, Mary McAllister, went across the street to that Christ Lutheran church I showed you earlier to volunteer as a nurse. And then of course the Union Army had to retreat out of Gettysburg. The rebels took it over and she was expecting to come back to her house and find everybody else in the house dead. Instead, the Confederates mostly left the townspeople alone. And not only that, they actually turned this house into a little makeshift hospital as well. Both sides were being treated. I always find that one of the most fascinating parts of the story of the Battle of Gettysburg is the fact that the townspeople had to endure a 3-day siege where Confederates essentially ran their town, right? An enemy army. It's part of it that I've always wanted to learn more about, and that's what the new museum we're gonna see is all about. It's cool, a lot of stores selling military swag in town, including a lot of military antiques. And look at this, some of the best historical fiction. The Killer Angels by Michael Shara, that's what the movie Gettysburg was based on. Then Gods and Generals, which is the prequel, written by his son Jeff Shara, who I believe lives in town in an old Union generals summer vacation house. Pretty crazy that even Union generals who fought here came back to build their summer houses here to be close to where their men sacrificed themselves. Also a lot of nice restaurants here that have gluten-free options for me, so I'm a big fan of Gettysburg. Gosh, it's so pretty here just walking around the town, even without the history. It's just gorgeous. Look at all of these little buildings here. We don't have anything really like this in Southern California. We have a few towns like this in Northern California, like some gold rush towns and things. You've got San Francisco. Actually, we got the Orange Circle, kind of a similar vibe, but on a much smaller scale. Look at this, I've never stayed here. The Hotel Gettysburg in Lincoln Square. I saw a sign that said that their little restaurant inside has a Lincoln summer menu. And you have the One Lincoln Food and Spirits. They really love Lincoln in this town. This shop has a lot of plush in here. They have a lot of toy soldiers and stuff like that. Oh, I can even see some Disney collectibles in there. And they've got some modern stuff. They got Starbucks right here. Down the other way, they've got a McDonald's and stuff. They've got the Nerd Herd gifts and games over here. Lots of stuff for kids to do. It's just a great place to visit all around. I've seen a lot of grandparents with their grandchildren out on the battlefield, but a lot of families cruising through downtown, just hanging out, checking out. Oh, look at this. It used to be the site of the Globe Inn. Apparently a lot of Confederate officers stayed on this site. Wow, that's amazing. I've never taken like a historical tour of the town other than the ghost tours. If I ever get a chance to stay longer in Gettysburg, I'd really like to dive deep into the history of the town, the history of the battle. Hopefully the museum will help me get into it a little bit more. Before we get into history, we're just gonna enjoy some of the touristy stuff here and check out some of these shops. We're in Gallery 30 right now. Look how fun this is to watch. That is amazing. Sweet. A lot of old kind of faded signs. They're replicas, but they're still very, very cool. Allie's over here checking out the Halloween stuff like a moth to a flame, man. Dude, they were so nice in here. They asked me to make sure not to get any of the customers in the shop, but they were so friendly and welcoming about it. I love it. Look at all these history books in here. A little bit of everything. Dude, they were so nice. And I kept asking where all the products were from. All the signs are actually hand painted by local artists. A lot of products made in the USA. Now we're gonna hop in here. The Union Drummer Boy. So many authentic Civil War artifacts in here. Look at that right from the gate. Look at those busts of Lincoln and Grant. Amazing. Dude, I love seeing stuff like this. Just the authentic stuff, and unlike a museum, well, it's kind of like a museum, right? You can come inside and just look, but unlike a museum, you can actually purchase what is on display. Everything from the shell fragments to the rifles here, riding boots and saddles. Ooh, even a surgeon's kit from the period. Dude, there are actual uniforms from the Civil War in here. They're not cheap. Talking $10,000 for that coat in the center of your screen there. How amazing would it be to own something like that? Battle worn. Dude, they look so thick. I wouldn't want to wear that today, and today isn't nearly as hot as the day of the battle was. Dude, look at this right here. Look at this diorama of the town as it was during the battle. Somebody handmade that thing. Dude, it is so amazing to see all of this stuff just gathered together in one place. And there are multiple stores in town just like this. Some high-grade antiques. That is for sure. There's nothing I love more than liberty, but I do enjoy some high-grade antiques. If I could have one thing in here, you know, one reasonably priced thing, it'd be one of the swords. I've always wanted a real Civil War sword. I bought a fake one in 8th grade when I first came to Gettysburg on a field trip, but it's been lost to the sands of time. I don't know what happened to it. If you guys know me or are familiar with Randomland, you know I am very into history, so it's perfect having like bookstores here for the historian. Look at that, for Allie, a book about witches. Speaking of Allie, there's a ceramics store we wanted to check out over here. Allie's been doing ceramics in school and college. It's never too late to learn. You're never too old to get a new skill. All right, we are walking up the street here, up Baltimore Street, which does lead down south into the battlefield. Walking right past Dirty Billy's hats over here. All kinds of military hats in there, pirate hats, Lincoln style top hats. So many different cool stores in this town. Look at that, Baltimore Street books and antiques. They even have some Gettysburg cigars in here. Dude, a lot of vintage history books in here. So much weird, amazing, good stuff packed into every one of these shops. You know, for a small town, there's a lot to do here that's not necessarily Civil War related. They have a comic book shop right there, as you just saw. You can get some vapes, Gettysburg vapes. And right over here, as we cross a middle street, you got Sweet, the candy store, and then right behind it, some Polish pottery, which is what we're gonna go check out. Allie's doing a little research. Look at those bus tours right there. The double-decker bus tour. Oh, look at that candy store. Gotta avoid that. I'm still working off my COVID bulge right there. I don't need any more candy. Dude, for some reason, almost everyone here is so friendly. We went inside that shop and looked at stuff. It's very neat, all handmade stuff. Not exactly what Allie was hoping to find though. And then she gave us a recommendation for a family who lives outside of town who makes their own pottery. Uh-oh. Oh no, I wasn't paying attention. Look at this. She's already going in the candy store. What is it?
It's goo.
It's what?
I'm Gumby.
Oh no. Gumby and goo. They know how to advertise to Allie. Is it just Allie, or does every sweet girl need a lot of sweet treats to keep them fueled up? Look at that. We got the Adams County Courthouse across the street, built in 1859, just before the Civil War. I bet the guys that built it during the battle were probably thinking, oh no, don't destroy our new courthouse. We just built this. And then like right in front of it, you see the statue of Thaddeus Stevens, who I did not know actually lived in Gettysburg for a time, or practiced law here anyway. All right, in a case of having to go backwards to go forwards, we're gonna go up Baltimore Street here, but first I gotta go back downtown and get the car, and then we'll go check out a different part of town, closer to the battlefield and, well, closer to the sort of famous part of the battlefield, the second, third day's battlefield, and if we have time, because we have an appointment at the museum up here on the north side of town, we'll go check out that pottery place that lady was recommending. Look at this. Mexican Coke in the most American town ever. Oh, and yes, by the way, Adams County is named for President John Adams. For God's sakes, John, sit down. Someone better open up a window. It's 90 degrees. Have mercy, John, please. For God's sakes, John, sit down. Okay, why does the coin shop not only have Civil War artifacts in here and arrowheads and all that kind of stuff, they got Star Wars toys in there. I'm gonna need to spend some time in this coin shop. Okay, back to the car, back to the car. By the way, just off Lincoln Square there, this was the Union Cigar Club last time I was here. It was a cigar store and club. You could have a little lounge. They still sell cigars in here, but now look at this. Sweet Repeat Records. They got CDs, tapes, and vinyl. You see why I'm always saying I'd like to move here one day? Too many flies, but it's hot as hell in Philadelphia. All right, so we've come to the other end of town, very close to the Gettysburg National Cemetery. It just dawned on me that a lot of the stuff down here is gonna be open after the museum we're going to is closed. So we might get to come down here and explore a little bit more later on. Look at the Gettysburg Miniature Soldiers, Toy Soldiers shop. A lot of the best and biggest souvenir shops are located on this side of town, but so is a Gettysburg Eddie's, and Allie must be fed. They have sandwiches over here and all kinds of food, so she's looking at the menu. Hopefully we won't get a hangry Allie That wouldn't be good for the museum or for us. Just gonna get the house hero over here. Right next door though is the horse soldier. You can see the sign says Fine Military Americana. This place is like a straight up war museum as far as the kind of relics and artifacts that they have in here. Seriously, one of the best stores ever if you're looking for World War II stuff, Civil War stuff. Look at the freaking cannon in the parking lot. What in the dang heck? I was gonna say I've never seen something this strange in a parking lot, and then I forgot we looked at one of the old Disney World monorails in a parking lot. So I stand corrected. A couple of years ago when I came and explored Gettysburg, we did a couple of videos here. We came down along Steinway Avenue down here, and we're looking at some of, whoa, General Reynolds, the first Union general killed at the Battle of Gettysburg. He was carried by aides to this house. Wow, look at that, even the gift shops are historic. Anyway, we came over here to the Gettysburg Diarama and History Center. There's a sign on here that says large gift shop in building. That is an understatement. The whole basement is full of an amazingly huge gift shop. Oh, and upstairs, we got the most amazing dummy Lincoln up here, a taxidermied horse with a Civil War soldier, and a bunch of little dioramas, like those old school handmade tourist dioramas from the days of yore in there. To say nothing of the main diorama and the large gift shop I was just mentioning. All of this, including that Mexican restaurant over there, all of this is stuff that was built pretty much on the battlefield in relatively modern times. Look at this, standing in front of the gas station and the Colton Motel, and you can see the National Cemetery up there. That is where Lincoln gave the Gettysburg Address. So you have the most somber, solemn history, literally the graves of soldiers who died, in some cases, just feet away from where they ended up being buried. And then you've got the Gettysburg Diorama with the fun pick opportunity with Lincoln, Cindy's Country Store, and then a picture of Bigfoot on a vape shop where you can buy CBD, a brand new lovely brewery, some motels that literally back up onto the battlefield down there. There's a McDonald's on part of the battlefield. And then over here you've got historic signs everywhere and markers over here. So it's this crazy, it's come a long way. They've gotten rid of a lot of the hokey touristy stuff. Fantasyland, the old theme park gone, a lot of mini golf courses and things like that are gone, removed from the actual battlefield itself. Lee's headquarters, which is located in a different part of town, was once a motel office. They've gotten rid of that and restored Lee's headquarters back to the way it was. The American Battlefield Trust has been a big part of that. We'll learn a lot more about that in tomorrow's video. And look at this, the Gettysburg Heritage Center Museum, gifts and battlefield tours. You have to be a licensed battlefield guide to give tours. Never been in there. I'm gonna go in there hopefully tomorrow. But yeah, this just illustrates perfectly down here what I'm talking about. You literally go from motel parking lot to pristine National Park battlefield, and then you got the Best Western, the Lincoln Train Museum, and beyond that, KFC and McDonald's sticking right out into the battlefield. Obviously, I'm a big fan of preservation, so I'm glad that they're slowly removing some of that stuff and restoring parts of the battlefield, but I also love that crazy mix. I loved kitschy, touristy stuff. All right, well, no time for this museum or the Lincoln Train Museum. On this fine Gettysburg Day, we have got to boogie back across town, back to the north side of town, because we want to see the latest and greatest museum in Gettysburg, at least in terms of covering what was going on in the town itself. The brand spanking new Beyond the Battle Museum. Dude, this museum is still literally brand spanking new, and it's so well done. Look at that sign over there. It was even voted USA Today's best new museum, Gettysburg Beyond the Battle. This place is run by the Adams County Historical Society and literally sits on the battlefield. There's some battlefield right across the street over there. The Adams County Historical Society has been collecting stuff from families that have lived in town for generations. You want to see the best stuff, you got to come to this museum. All right, we're inside the museum with Andrew Dalton, the president of Gettysburg history, following in Lincoln's footsteps. Andrew.
Hey everybody, yeah, good to have everybody here.
Dude, this place is amazing. So we're gonna walk through on a whirlwind tour.
Yeah.
Show us some of the weird stuff. I noticed you have dinosaur tracks in here.
We literally have real dinosaur footprints. So this is called Beyond the Battle Museum. We're in Gettysburg. Everybody thinks Civil War, but we are everything, including the Civil War before and after. We start with literal dinosaur footprints that are millions of years old.
And those are the real ones, right? They came from a quarry.
Yep, a quarry near Gettysburg. Gettysburg, they were actually used to make a bridge on the Gettysburg battlefield that
What?
people still stop and see. You'll have to check that out.
Are there dinosaur footprints on the bridge?
There are, yes. So you can actually come to the Gettysburg battlefield and see dinosaur footprints.
There's so much I haven't seen. I saw these mile posts
right.
here.
We're only 8 miles from the Mason-Dixon line separating Pennsylvania and Maryland. And every 5 miles or so, there's one of these markers. This is a reproduction, but you can still go out and find them. They're called crown stones, and they have the crest of the Maryland and Pennsylvania families on
And they
each
were
side.
shipped from Europe, right?
They were. Yeah,
that is
they're incredible.
amazing.
And they took these things through the forest and plopped them down at different spots, and they're still there.
This is one of our favorite things yesterday. We saw, like, Gettysburg was obviously here during the Revolution. We saw this 18th century tavern set up in here. It's amazing. It's like Disneyland for Gettysburg history.
It is. So Gettysburg started in the 1780s with the tavern, the Gettys Tavern, and it became Gettysburg or Gettysburg. You can say it either way.
Yeah.
And we wanted to recreate that tavern atmosphere. So you can see we have some games out and some artifacts in the cases. We also have a bar. If you didn't know, bars are called bars because they literally have wooden bars.
That's
not
amazing.
Not so much anymore, but back then they had
I
to
did not know
lock
that.
up all the alcohol.
This is something that I saw yesterday that blew me away, which is this map on the wall. Can you tell me what this is?
That's right. This is the original map of Gettysburg, of the town of Gettysburg, on animal hide. And it's still in pretty good shape. It's from 1785, and it shows all the town lots, the roads, the structure, the streets, and everything.
And that's original. So that's when they planned out the town.
It is.
So this is your founding document
That
almost.
is. Yep. Sometimes they call it a town plot or plat, but that is Gettysburg's first map.
That's crazy. This is amazing. Andrew was talking yesterday about maybe taking us behind the scenes in here. That's why we're rushing through quick. I'm going to come back and we're going to look at the museum more in depth in the future. Don't worry, Andrew, but what's this chair right here?
Yeah, we're in the middle of Beyond the Battle Museum. We're in the Civil War section. We have a story about a woman named Mag Palm. She was actually kidnapped by slave catchers, and according to her story, she bit one of their thumbs off during the attack.
What?
So this is her rocking chair that she'd sit in later in her life.
So you're saying during the battle, they were going, oh, we're going to take you back with us.
Before this actually happened, a few years before the Civil War, here in Gettysburg. But she became a local hero because of her ability to fight these guys off.
That's amazing.
She took them to court and won. So that's Mag Palm. You can see her picture, her chair.
Wow.
Some other stories of people who survived these attempts to kidnap and take people back into slavery. We also have a really cool item here. This is an original campaign ribbon from Abraham Lincoln's election in 1860.
Oh my gosh.
And I wonder if your viewers know who his vice president was on the 1860
Was it
ticket.
Hannibal Hamlin?
Hannibal Hamlin.
Yeah.
A really forgettable vice president.
What a name, though.
Yeah, that's true. What a name. And Adams County, Pennsylvania, where we are here, voted for Lincoln by 6 votes in 1860.
Really? So he won?
Just by 6 votes.
Okay, that's
then
good.
He lost the next election, unfortunately.
Poor
Now,
Stephen
I want to show
Douglas.
you one of my favorite artifacts in the entire museum, and that is right here.
Okay.
This is a hat that was worn by a guy named James Culbertson, who fought at the Battle of Gettysburg. He was from the area. He came back to fight here, and during the battle, he was shot through the back of the neck, and the bullet passed through his hat, where you can see the wood stick. And we actually got his pension file from the National Archives, and it shows the bullet entry and exit locations on the back of his neck. So you can see there that the story actually is true, and the hat has those marks exactly where those holes are.
He's from Gettysburg.
He was from actually Emmitsburg, Maryland, nearby.
Okay, so very
but
close.
He was so close to home that he actually walked back to his house after being shot through the neck.
Oh, so he survived.
He survived.
Wow,
Yeah.
and they kept the hat
They kept
all that
the hat
time?
all those years. He wrote about having the hat. It was one of his most treasured possessions.
That is amazing.
Yeah,
okay, I didn't even see that yesterday. That is awesome. Okay, now tell me about this, because this blew my mind yesterday. We watched this film here about the invasion of Gettysburg, and then behind you, tell me what this is. It's amazing.
This is called Caught in the Crossfire. So we want to put visitors inside a home that is literally trapped between the 2 firing lines during the battle. So in this house, you'll see, hear, and feel the Battle of Gettysburg happening to the civilians of the town who were completely caught off guard and had to take shelter in their cellars. Do you want to go and see it?
Yes. Look at this. You can see on the film before you enter. Look at the way the Union soldiers had to retreat through town. I mean, it's intense. All right, we're going inside right now. All right, so we've entered the house. We are in a Gettysburg house. Oh, I can hear the sounds. They're coming.
That's right. Yep. The battle hasn't quite started yet, but what you hear inside this house is authentic. We went out to a shooting range and recorded all the sounds. The firing of cannons, rifles. We fired through wood and metal and got the actual sounds that the civilians of Gettysburg heard here in 1860.
And the premise, right, is that the families had to abandon their dinner.
Their dinner, and they're now down below the floorboards in the cellar. We actually sunk the floor in this space so that we could give an authentic feel for what it was like to be inside a home.
And now the battle is getting closer, Allie. This freaked you out too, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't just me. Oh my gosh.
John, did you see?
That's the family talking in the basement. You have to experience this in person because the floor is vibrating, the walls are shaking.
And now the soldiers say they're coming.
Amazing.
There's been a sharp fight out by Williams Run. It's the only safe place. Soldiers drive them away. Certainly.
Looks like there are people upstairs.
Who's up there?
Papa, that's Rex. He's outside.
Stay here. I'll fetch him.
Oh no, the dog is outside. You really feel the stress.
People ask us all the time if the dog survives.
Oh no. Does he survive?
He does. The dog does.
Oh, thank God. And the little girl downstairs is worried about her doll. I mean, it's really intense in here. Oh my gosh.
The boys.
Look at that. The bullet holes in the wall. Oh. Oh, you can feel the footsteps on the ground. Oh my gosh. Whoa! Dude, I swear to you, it gives me anxiety. Oh. Oh, you have the family praying in the basement. Oh my gosh. Look at all the bullet holes. Whoa! And that's not all. This is just the part where the Union and Confederates are fighting. Pretty soon, the rebels are going to enter town. Oh no. Those are the Union soldiers trying to seek shelter.
Quiet. Wait, I'll go see.
John, be careful.
This show's only 4 minutes long and it gives me anxiety. I can't imagine being trapped in your basement for 3 days with bullets ripping through your house and shells exploding everywhere. Oh, here's the calm before the rebels come. Oh! Oh no.
You folks just sit tight. Your Yankees have done run off. Boys, gather up them chickens from the back. There's plenty to eat here.
The rebel soldiers have taken the house.
This is our house now.
That's
Trying to
amazing.
get it as authentic as we could.
And you guys built this mostly in-house too,
We did,
right?
yes.
That's
Yep.
incredible. It's like something that Disney Imagineers would build, or I don't know, like
Thank you. That's a high
the
compliment.
Smithsonian or something.
Yeah.
That is incredible. Wow.
See battle damage around Gettysburg today. There's artillery shells protruding out of buildings. There's bullet scars on the sides of brick houses, especially.
And so that's why. So this is what it really would have looked like. There just would have been bullet holes
It is,
everywhere.
and these are actually real Gettysburg artifacts that we embedded in the wall.
No
So
way.
visitors
So those
can
are
come and
real-
touch the actual artifacts.
Oh
that,
wow! Look at that shell up there stuck in the house.
Yeah.
I guess you'd be lucky to have the shell stuck in your house though, and not exploding in your house.
Exactly.
And so you guys have all kinds of battlefield
This is all
relics
the
here.
aftermath. Yeah, things that were destroyed after the fighting. And then we have a cannonball here that was actually pried out of a cherry tree. It crashed into this tree in the middle of the fighting, right next to somebody's home.
And that is it.
And that is it right there.
When did it get pulled out? When did the cherry tree get
Sure,
chopped down?
Many years, decades later, the tree was first it was cut off and it stayed in for a while in the stump, and then eventually they removed the cannonball. And
Was
we
it,
recreated the tree right here?
Was it George Washington that chopped down the cherry? Okay, I'm
Maybe.
just kidding. That's
This is,
amazing.
an original program, one of my favorite artifacts in the whole museum. This is an original program from the Gettysburg Address. It was handed out there that day in front of the platform when Lincoln gave his speech.
It looks somebody did
And
their
you can
math
see
on
somebody
it.
scribbled all over it. Back
Oh.
then, paper wasn't as easy to come by as it is today.
How many of these are known to exist?
Maybe 3 or 4.
That's
That-
it?
Yeah, it's definitely the only one that I have seen. I know the
That's
National Archives has one.
That's incredible. And then behind you, this chair.
Right, this was a chair that was on the platform with Abraham Lincoln when he gave the speech.
So he could have sat in this chair.
That's possible.
That
You
is
said it.
amazing. Yeah, I said it. You guys didn't. You guys can't say that, but I can imagine that Lincoln could have sat in this chair.
He spoke for like 3 minutes. The guy before him, 2 hours. People were exhausted. Lincoln got up, gave a speech. It was so quick that the photographers couldn't even get a good photograph of him when he was standing up.
And he was dedicating the National Cemetery up there, but from what I understand, he was probably, the platform was probably over the border in the town cemetery?
Yes, that's right. Just over the edge in Evergreen Cemetery. That platform is gone. There's no trace of where it was, so we can only kind of guess, but from the photographs, it looks like it was right on that line.
That is amazing. amazing.
Yeah.
So cool. All right, so moving on after the Battle of Gettysburg, still a lot of history to go. What's this wooden board?
We have all kinds of history through, the 20th century. During World War I, Dwight D. Eisenhower, future president, came here and commanded a camp on the Gettysburg battlefield where they were training soldiers to use tanks in
on
combat.
The battlefield.
That's right, on the Gettysburg battlefield,
Wow.
but during World War I. And while that happened, while they were here, the Spanish flu hit, and the camp was just absolutely devastated.
Oh.
This is a wooden board that was used to carry the dead out of this camp under the command of Captain Dwight D. Eisenhower.
Really?
And that was used to transport the bodies. We
I
have a
did
few
not
artifacts
know
from this
that.
camp. It was called Camp Cult. You can see there's a magazine. They actually publish a magazine at this camp.
What?
Called Treat 'em Rough. And it was pretty famous at the time. And they had these tanks. This is a picture of young Eisenhower in front of one of those tanks. It was a French tank, a Renault tank.
Allie saw this picture yesterday and goes, wow, young Eisenhower was kind of hot.
He was. Yep.
She likes height.
I've heard that before. Yep, this is an exhibit about the commercialization of Gettysburg. So obviously things were sold all over the place, miniature monuments, displays with relics included in them, even a game board, and very controversially, they ran a trolley through the battlefield, and this is a piece of the track from
That
that
is
trolley.
so amazing. Well, probably better to run the trolley through for tourists than run tanks through it all the time.
That's true. There were tanks and trolleys around the same time.
So these are like little souvenir relics,
Yeah.
pieces of wood. Are the bullets embedded
artillery
in that?
shells. Yep, that's a bullet embedded in a piece of wood.
And they
these,
chopped that out and sold it?
Yep, they would chop things out and create little artistic displays to sell all over
See,
town.
you never see stuff like that on eBay. So how common is that to
They're
find?
very rare. There's hardly any of those. Those were
incredible.
sold very early on too, probably late 1860s.
Oh, and then you told me yesterday this battlefield is carved
Yeah,
cane.
you see more of that. So that canes using wood from the battlefield. They call them witness trees. They're trees that are still here or were still here, and eventually they are cut down and turned into souvenirs. You can see that kids actually sold these canes all over the place on the battlefield.
Is absolutely wild. Okay, there's a lot more stuff in here that we couldn't talk about, obviously. Come into the museum. It is fantastic. But now Andrew's going to take us on a little behind-the-scenes tour.
That's right.
Can we see upstairs, too?
Absolutely. Yep, we're going to take you to the archives, and we'll take you to our storage warehouse, which is pretty wild.
All right, we're upstairs now, going through the banquet hall, passing through the research room. This part's more or less public. But beyond these doors, ooh, this is a place no one ever gets to see,
That's
right?
We don't take people back here, only very special guests.
Aw, thank you.
We are in the archives, so we have more than 1 million historic items in our collection.
A
We have
million.
records and diaries and newspapers and all kinds of portraits and paintings and anything you could possibly imagine that might be in your grandmother's closet or attic. We are the permanent home for Gettysburg's history.
And so all these stacks here, this is like something you see on a TV show or in the movies. Most people don't ever get to see library stacks, but
That's
these
right.
turn and roll
They
and
do.
separate.
Yep, they open right up.
Wow.
And you can just pull anything off a shelf and see what's in it.
So these random boxes are all full of different, I can see
They
different
are.
people's
so
papers.
I might just randomly pull some papers down.
Family
and then if you open
Bibles.
it up, you'll see maybe these are like scrapbooks or notebooks from a local family.
Oh my gosh.
Let's see if there's anything interesting in them. Yep, looks like scrapbooks with newspapers in them.
And so what's the relationship with the Adams County Historical Society?
So the Historical Society is the parent entity for all of what we do. So
Okay.
Gettysburg History is our brand, but we are a local organization at our core. We've been around since 1888, and we preserve all these items and then try to put them on display and share them with the public as much as we can.
And yesterday you told me you have every newspaper ever published.
We do
in
through the
Gettysburg?
last, at least through the into the 20th century. But every issue of the Gettysburg Times from its origin until I think the 1960s is here. Then we have all the old early newspapers over here, including the newspapers from the time of the Battle of Gettysburg.
Really?
There were 3 newspapers active in Gettysburg during the battle, and we have all the original bound volumes of these.
Oh my gosh, look at this. November 1831
That's
to
right.
1846.
That's right.
That's
Yep.
crazy. You're
Yeah,
talking
it's-
about like
It's amazing.
Tom
And
Sawyer days
this
there.
one's a little more recent, but if I open it up, you can just see these are the original pages of one of the Gettysburg newspapers. It says founded in 1800. This is from 1947. So
not-
those are in a little better shape.
Not every county has this, but if you
No.
have grandparents from Adams County, you're in luck
That's
because
right.
you guys have everything here.
That's right, we do. And even if you don't have relatives from Adams County or Gettysburg, a lot of people have ancestors that fought at the Battle of Gettysburg.
Wow.
And so we might have material related to that. But we have all kinds of artifacts. I'm going to point out one in particular that I love.
You got everybody's grandma's portrait in here, too.
We do, yep, more than we want. We have people every year, about 100 donations we take for the collection. One time, this was maybe 3 or 4 years ago, an elderly woman called us and she had a flag that she said, a piece of the flag from Fort Sumter from the start of the Civil War. And to be honest, we didn't really believe that it was true, but it was mailed to us. We opened it up and there it is. That is an authentic piece of the flag from Fort Sumter that was shot away by the Confederates during the first engagement of the Civil War.
That is like an actual insane piece of history. So how many other pieces of this are known to exist? That has to be rare.
There it is. It's a large piece. There are not many pieces that big. I think most of the flag is still at Fort Sumter.
So people cut away portions specifically for souvenirs.
Right, as a souvenir, and you can see even on this part down here, it looks like it has some marks from being shot away.
That is
the wood
crazy.
From the rampart at
So
Fort
that
Sumter.
is how the whole conflict began.
Yeah, it is. April 1861.
That
It all
is
started
so
there,
cool.
and the turning point was Gettysburg a few years later.
Dude, this is so neat and so special because not everybody gets to see this, but it gets even better because
Right.
now we're leaving the main building.
We are going back to our storage warehouse. We're going to show you a lot more artifacts.
We're gonna see some more of those million artifacts. Okay, Andrew is opening up the barn for us. If I walk in here, the lights just might turn. Whoa! Look at this place. This is insane. We've collected another special guest.
So we have all these artifacts. We can't possibly display them all. So we have this large warehouse to store things. We've kind of grouped them by subject. So literally you could walk in here and see any type of object from any type of period of time, from schools to businesses to kitchens and household items. And we have our historian here, Tim Smith. He's got something fun to show us. Ethan just pulled off the shelf.
My Charlie Weaver mug.
Charlie Weaver mug. Who's Charlie Weaver,
You might
for those that
know
don't
Charlie
know?
Weaver. Of course, he was on the bottom left of Hollywood Squares, but he also was on the Jack Parr Show, and of course his name is Cliff Arquette, and he ran a museum in Gettysburg from like 1959.
Really?
It was still open when I was a kid, so it went through various evolutions.
And he's
but
the grandfather of David and Patricia Arquette, right?
that's correct.
That is amazing. I didn't know that.
And Roseanne Arquette.
So you literally have everything from like there's literally wheelbarrows for picking apples
All kinds of
and
stuff.
people's beds and record players,
Yeah, you just
bedpans.
kinda pan all the way down. We have typewriters here.
Yeah,
We have some
bedpans.
military items, musical items. We have all kinds of glasses,
Wow.
and bottles.
And then a Charlie Weaver mug
And
over
the
here.
Charlie Weaver mug. Tim loves our dolls. We have a lot of really interesting dolls.
Oh, and
Now-
people's toys. You guys have preserved toys down
did,
They
here.
all
are
kinds of
so
toys.
pretty.
Yes,
Oh my gosh. That is actually a very scary doll right there. You should put
Careful.
those on the ghost tours. I heard you're a
Sometimes-
big fan of those,
If we
Tim.
make fun of the dolls being scary, though, there are a lot of doll fanatics out there who will tell us, you know,
No,
that
they're
the dolls
precious
are actually
babies.
Beautiful.
Right, right.
But I can tell you, not all of our dolls are beautiful.
You showed me this yesterday, and I love this.
Yeah, Indian Bear Bank. So this is something where, you know, was common a long time ago. You take the coin, you put it on top of this shotgun, and the Indian or Native American fires into the bear, and the coin goes into the piggy bank.
So the coin goes into the
Isn't that
bear's
cool?
body.
Yep.
That is amazing.
Pretty
So it's
wild.
everything here. You've got people's documents. You've got, oh my gosh, the old dentist
barber
chair.
chair, yep,
Or oh, that's a
absolutely.
barber chair. Okay, well, dentist and barber are sometimes the same
they
thing.
Sometimes were, which is pretty scary, isn't it?
That's
and then,
cool.
Over here, I know Tim likes to point out we have all these mortuary-related items. We have coffins and body boards.
Whoa, what is a bodyboard, Tim?
Like a coin board, like they put the body onto it while they are preparing it for embalming or
gosh.
carrying the body to the
Oh my gosh, so that's just for ventilation and for
Now,
dripping.
we should tell everybody that all this stuff is not in its final state
Right.
of archival
That's right, we're
preservation.
still organizing.
We've
Yeah.
actually just in the last few years unpacked this stuff that had been in storage for about a decade. So our new
Wow.
facility gave us the ability to get everything out, to organize everything, to preserve everything, and we're going to have it probably in a couple years in really good shape.
So this is basically the beginning stages of unpacking all this stuff and then probably restoring some of it
Yes.
and then finding a way to display
That's right.
some of it. This
Yeah.
is a lot of chairs back here.
We probably have 90-something chairs. We are actively going through trying to organize, figure out what we have, And it's a real challenge, but it's fun.
So there's
Sometimes we open
treasures-
up boxes and we just don't even know what's in them.
That's what I was just gonna ask. There's treasures in here that you guys haven't even seen yet.
That's right. Yeah, this is just some of our volunteers have been organizing things onto shelves, and like for instance, maybe I'll pull at random one box here, and we can see what's in it. This one looks like artillery shells from the Battle of Gettysburg. Pieces of shells.
That is crazy. And tomorrow we have a video in Devil's Den with Gary Edelman walking us around, and you and Gary have written several books together, Tim.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of both of you. The first time I met you was when I was doing my Fantasyland video, and poring over a map, and over my shoulder, here comes like one of the greatest Gettysburg historians going, oh, Fantasyland, yeah. And actually you were very helpful in pointing out to me where some of the stuff was, like Mother Goose and all that stuff.
Great.
Well, that's what, we're not just historians of the battle or local history, we're historians of the commercialization and memorialization of the battlefield.
Which actually, as you say that, look at that right there. Relics picked up from a farm. So was that on display somewhere? Or that might have been something somebody
I
sold?
haven't even really seen that.
We're
It's a
told
recent
that is
donation.
from a museum in town.
Wow.
And we don't know which one. There over the years have been dozens of museums that featured souvenirs and artifacts from the fighting.
Now, I noticed some are disappearing now. They're restoring a lot of battlefield stuff these days and getting rid of some of the commercial stuff. The big tower's
I
gone.
love the hair
That's a
displays.
hair art display.
What?
That's human hair.
Now, that's possibly somebody's deceased relative's hair,
I'm
then,
sure
right?
it is. Yeah. So back in those days, it was common to use hair in art, in displays, or in books. We have some hair albums where people would braid hair from different people, and it's not something that people do today.
No,
so much.
that's
So-
like as long as it's not in my cereal bowl, we're good.
you go.
Oh my gosh, these are Are these real headstones, Tim?
Yeah, I mean, at one time there were more than 70 different small cemeteries in Adams County, and some of the stones here have been replaced by a more modern stone.
Wow.
Or some of them have been given to us that are in defunct cemeteries. So we have some stones, not a lot.
That is
We try
crazy.
to put them back out when we can.
It's just a beautiful thing. I've been to a lot of local museums and county museums all across the country, up and down Route 66, all kinds of places.
Right.
And this is I'm telling you, by far the most impressive one, because you guys have saved, it feels like everything in here.
Oh, thank you. Yeah,
Look
we
at-
do have something of everything, I would say.
Hallie's blown away. She wants to climb in those little coffins over there.
There you go.
Wow.
We again, millions of items. We don't know the exact number.
Wow.
But these things have been collected since the 1880s from various Gettysburg families.
That is so cool. Oh my gosh.
There you go.
Pulling out
Back
treasures.
to the dolls.
Oh, back to the... Wow. All right. Well, I know the doll lovers out there are going to say it's beautiful, it's gorgeous. I'm going to say it's creepy. You guys don't have to say it. I'll say it. That really scares me. Okay,
we
look at
have-
this box here. We're opening random boxes
Opening a random
now.
box. So we have our volunteers in here every week, and they organize different types of items. We have hats, all kinds of hats. I think probably 100 different hats.
That's what I was just going to ask you is, whose job is it to go through all of this stuff? Because even just 1 million items,
Right.
that's going to take a long time. I mean, one item a
does.
day would take forever.
It's a big team of volunteers. We have about 70 volunteers, and a handful of them work out here. They call themselves the barn rats.
That
because
is neat.
They work with
So
all
you're
of
getting
these things.
locals involved in their local history.
That's right. Yep.
See?
You can check out our website, gettysburghistory.org, if you want to become a volunteer or learn more about this
Oh,
place.
that is cool. Okay, so people can visit the Beyond the Battle Museum. It's really easy to find, just north of town. And then you guys also acquired another property.
That's right.
Speaking
Yeah,
of being under
the
siege.
Shriver House Museum in downtown Gettysburg, which has a authentic sharpshooter's nest from the battle, where Confederates were killed up in the attic. So
That
you can
is
stop by there
so
and learn about
cool.
their family, that family's experience.
So I love that there was no museum. Now you guys have this huge, amazing museum, this amazing storage facility, and you're purchasing or getting
Yes.
other properties in town.
We continue to grow, and we're really excited about that. We also run a film festival every year with Ken Burns called the Gettysburg Film Festival.
Okay, that is cool. That is so awesome. Look
All
at that.
kinds of old antique bedpans.
Yes, I gave one of these to my friend as a Christmas present once.
Did you really?
He did not
Must
appreciate
be
it.
a lazy friend.
Yeah, I was hoping he would get some use out of it, but so far no luck. Look at this, look at all the uniforms. So you have uniforms here from World War I, World War II, and these are local residence uniforms, I
that's
assume?
right. And you know what? Kind of unrelated, but we also have, these are really cool. These are school desks.
Oh,
and you
wow.
can see the kids put their graffiti all over the top of the school desk.
That is amazing. That is. Imagine coming back here and going, my grandma used to live in this town, and then finding her name carved into a school desk.
She was a bad student. She carved her name right on the desk.
Walt Disney did it in the Boyhood Home Museum. They've got a WD scratched right into one of those desks. So you never know what you're gonna find.
This, do you want to talk about that real quick, Tim? That's kind of cool.
Again, you know, we have tombstones or gravestones.
We just got that one.
And this is the original stone that was on George Sando's grave in Mount Joy Cemetery, south of Gettysburg. He was killed on June 26, 1863, a local militiaman killed by Colonel White's, you know, as part of Juba Early's raid.
Wow.
And he's got a nice new stone on his grave. So they took the original stone out and put a nice stone on his grave. Now, to me, the original stone is the nice stone.
Yeah.
But they have a replacement on there, so they gave us the original one.
And he was the first Union soldier killed, right, at Gettysburg?
Yeah.
Wow. This is just absolutely blowing my mind. As if the museum wasn't mind-blowing enough, then coming back here is amazing.
We have enough for another museum.
We have the volunteers that work here that are wonderful are organizing our shoe collection.
Yeah, I saw that when we came in yesterday. It's like, look at all of these shoes right here. I mean, everything, baby shoes.
See, Andrew, a lot of these shoes are
I haven't really looked at them yet.
Henry Stort's.
Okay.
You know.
Oh, so these are the shoes that the Confederates were coming to raid Gettysburg
That's
for.
exactly right. Yep, they had very small feet.
That's a big myth. They taught us that in junior high. They were like, oh, the soldiers were coming here because there was a shoe factory. And then I found out from watching videos of Tim and Gary online, there was no shoe factory.
That's right.
Where was the closest shoe factory? Does anybody know?
Well, there were shoe shops. So this is the big misconception is that there are shoemakers all over the place. So,
okay, so there's a shoe shop probably in the Diamond somewhere or something like that, and that's
somewhere near the center of town.
That gets exaggerated into
Definitely
the Confederates came for shoes.
They definitely needed shoes.
Yeah, well, they could have found them. There's plenty here. Okay, that was amazing. Andrew is a great tour guide. Nobody gets to do the stuff that we just did and have Tim Smith in there. I'm a huge fan of Tim's. I had to buy one of his books and, of course, get it signed. I am stoked. I was told they have some reenactors that are showing up that are actually going to fire one of the museum's cannons here in a little bit. So that will be something to see. I'm going to take Allie down the road to look at some pottery and trinkets and then come right back, and we'll end, hopefully, with a grand finale, a little cannon fire. Good thing about Gettysburg is that everything, driving-wise, is 15 minutes from everything. So you can get across town pretty darn quick. Maybe not on the anniversary of the battle or the big celebration days, but on a normal day like this, oh, it's a breeze. I love it. All right, just south of the battlefield, the Lion Potter, right here on the Tawnytown Road. We heard a lot about their handmade ceramics, and they've got a little farm produce stand over here with peaches. Millions of peaches. Peaches for me. Wow, the whole house is full of stuff. Dang, when I say the whole house, I mean literally the entire house. I love that it's not just the ceramics. You got local honey and jam, maple syrup. You got it all in here. Allie's gonna buy that mug right there. Allie makes ceramics. She sold some the last time we did a tiki event, and I sold my tiki masks, but apparently she sold them for way too little. She didn't know. Awesome, just awesome. Look at this. Look how far back it all extends. We're literally like behind the battlefield. I believe the rest of the battlefield is just beyond those woods there. Yeah, confirmed. We are literally right behind Little Round Top. So the point of including this, of course, is to show you guys that there's just a lot here in Gettysburg besides just the battle. It is literally a lot beyond the battle. From art to produce to museums, everybody that we've run into, maybe we're just lucky, has been so friendly, so welcoming. I love this place. If I ever move out of California, I want to move here. All right, well, we're gonna be looky-loos for just a little bit longer. See you back in town. All right, I dropped Allie off at the hotel, let her rest a little bit. Her Crohn's disease makes getting fatigued very easy for her. We're gonna go back to the museum now and see if they're firing that cannon. Real quick though, it's a weird hazy day. Just look how gorgeous this place is. Ooh, looks like we got a busload of tourists being unloaded here. Oh, I parked in the wrong spot. Look at that, the cannon's pointed right at me. All right, I was just learning a lot from this guy here from the North-South Skirmish Association, Doug Walter. He's about to do a demonstration for these groups out here and fire this freaking cannon. Giving a little talk on how the artillery would have worked in the Civil War and placing some volunteers around the gun to represent how many people it took to fire one of these. All right, now they're digging for ammunition. I think it's gonna happen. Andrew's over there being the guy with his thumb on the hole so no air gets in there. All right.
Make ready. Fire!
Oh my gosh.
Out where not to stand next to.
Yeah. Holy smokes. Oh my gosh, and that's not all. They're gonna do it again. This is crazy.
Make ready. Fire!
Oh my gosh. Well, that was a blast. See why I like Gettysburg so much? And that guy was telling me they have the hardest time now finding younger guys to join this hobby and shoot cannons and things. So if you're interested, if you live anywhere near here, get in touch with those guys. Apparently same thing when it comes to reenactors, right? Nobody wants to be hardcore anymore. They got to get these kids away from TikTok and out on the battlefield. Anyway, as you can see, we've done a lot today and haven't even begun to scratch the surface in the slightest degree. Make sure to stay tuned for the next episode when we tour the battlefield with one of the premier experts, my favorite Civil War historian, Gary Edelman. We're gonna go to the infamous Devil's Den, learn why it's called that, hear all about the battle. A super rare opportunity. And now as the clouds come rolling in, I'm gonna go and get myself a gluten-free pizza up the road here at Deliso. Meet back up with Allie, and then who knows, maybe go on one of those ghost tours out here or something else. We will be back in Gettysburg again in the future if I have anything to say about it. And if you want to help make sure that happens, you can always join our Patreon or go to our store, get a little Randomland swag or my new book, Tales from Randomland. It's just randomland.com. All the links are there for Instagram, for everything. But you know what's free and would help me out a lot? Just like the video, share it with a friend, maybe subscribe to the channel, and then you'll have done your duty. I hate to end it here, guys. I hate to end it here because there's just so much else to do in Gettysburg, but we have to move on out of Gettysburg. We have more to do on this trip. So I've done my duty here for the time being. Time to motel and sleep well. See you next time. Hey. Oh, hey.